Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our National Careers Week podcasts. Today's theme is all about sport. So we have been joined by Joe Danqua, who is a PE teacher at Biker Primary School. So hi, Joe, how are you doing?
I'm all well. How are you?
Brilliant. I'm good, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I know you're probably crazy busy at school, so thanks very much for coming on. What we've been doing is just kind of speaking to different kind of industry experts, I guess, working in different careers and kind of getting an idea of the sort of pathways they've followed. So we're hoping you could maybe just give a little introduction to sort of yourself and the role that you're in at the moment, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't call myself an expert. I'm still learning. I think the biggest thing is you never stop learning. The role I'm in, like I said, I'm a full-time PE teacher at Biker Primary. I've been it for 6 years altogether. Journey that I was on is like the students at the college. I was one of the students at the college. I'm a BTEC. Then went on to foundation degree, made it into full degree, and then obviously went into my role I'm in. So yeah, that's a quick summary of where I'm at now. Yeah.
Excellent. And was it time at you study that, was it?
Yeah. So I joined time at 16. Was part of the NISA. I don't know if it's still called NISA, but it's got a different name now.
Yeah, it's still NISA.
Yeah, playing football, competing against the other basketballers because you want to always show that football's better. Yeah. And then through there, obviously, while you're doing your BTEC courses, if I'm correct, part of a sports coaching unit. I don't know if it's still the same, but you have to like run festivals for schools or work placements and so on. And that's how I started to learn about coaching, which eventually carried on. And eventually, yep, here I am.
Oh, brilliant.
doing the job that I love.
Oh, amazing. So it was kind of part of the course, was it, where you had to go out and coach, and then that's when you started to realise kind of coaching was for you and PE teaching?
Yeah, so obviously when you go into schools and you get a taster for it, that's when it kind of sticks with you. And I always say to like coaching and teaching, it's a feeling you can't buy. It's weird, I can't describe it. But when you work with kids or like you help someone get better at what they do, then it's a rewarding feeling. And then obviously, like I was always brought up in sports. My brother used to play for Newcastle at that time when I was studying out of college. In my head, I thought I was going to play football. Didn't happen, which is fine. But yeah, again, I'm fortunate enough that I could use all the experiences that he went through as a professional footballer and his mates that I can now bring into my day job. Obviously, when you're at the college, you get given opportunities, and I think it goes two ways. So you get given it, but then you have to take it. And luckily, I have people around me like Chris Wall, and other teachers that are potentially still there now. You should say to me, Joe, we've got this coming up. Do you want to do it? Yeah, sometimes I was a bit like picked. I would be like, no, I don't want to do it. Which you go through at 16, but then like, no, come on, give it a try. It's good for your CV, career, and so on. I was like, nah. And then I get there and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, do you know what? So many people have said the same this week, that they didn't ever intend to be in the job they're in now, but like you say, they took up those opportunities when they were at school or college and sixth form, and then they kind of realised that they liked it, and it's kind of got them where they are today. So it's really interesting to hear.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I growing up, I always said I wanted three jobs. There was either professional footballer, clearly didn't happen. Then I was like, right, I want to be a PE teacher because I love sports, which luckily I'm doing that. Or it was a football agent. So I've managed to achieve one at least out of the three, which is not bad.
That is impressive, because a lot of people kind of don't, they go off in a completely different direction, don't they?
Yeah, and I think also the role I'm in, if I'm correct, in Newcastle, doing what I do to the extent that I do, I'm going to say there's only maximum three that I know of that are doing. So yes, there are coordinators, but some coordinators are still class teachers, which they don't have a lot of time to, because PE at the moment, like everyone knows, it's all over the news and so on, physical education. It's massive and it's so broad and it's so important that, and my advice to the students, obviously now on the courses and in uni and so on, want to potentially do what I do. They're probably in a better position than I was probably 10 years ago, because as time goes on, schools will gear more towards PE specialists. So if anything, this is probably like the right time for them to try and get into the career, because they need more role models, which we all do. We need, kids to be as active as possible, to be learning, to take the skills they learn through PE, which is life skills, then use it in life, but also in different sports and so on. So I think, yeah, the students are probably in a better position than I was 10 years ago, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. And I think you're totally right on it. You know, it's kind of all over the media at the moment, especially sort of the challenges kind of over lockdown as well. And it is an excellent time, I guess, to get back into it. I think everyone's sort of missed sport, haven't they, in general lives, even adults. But it is really important, obviously, to get sort of students and kids back in as well.
Yeah,
how have you been finding lockdown? How have you coped with
it? For me, I mean, I'm always a positive person. So I think to do the job that I do, or go into teaching or coach, whatever you do, and you work with kids, you always have to be positive and strong. So, you know, kids can sense how you feel. Yes, okay, lockdowns are great, but there's always ways to improve. So for me, I've done a lot of webinars, a lot of courses, a lot of networking. And I think for the students that you've got on the course and so on that might be listening to this, I think networking is massive to get into the world I'm in. Networking, but also the way you put yourself across as a person. So yes, these days you've got a lot of social media stuff that you have, but it's at the end of the day, it's for you to get employed by someone that might do a bit of background checks. So, and it takes 2 minutes. It takes 2 minutes to go on someone's social media platform to see what they're doing. And that can make a judgment. So what my advice is always been, you know, use your social media platform. Hey, if you've got yours for private, keep it private. If you've got something that you want to use for professional network and make it as professional as possible, don't try and interlink. But in terms of lockdown, it's been great for me. So I've networked with a lot of different PE teachers. Funny enough and luckily enough, I'm quite Twitter friendly with one person who's in Bradford, which sounds creepy, but we're quite good mates now, and we're sharing practices. Being on a few webinars that I said, football webinars, different learning, different coaches, finding any inspiration around education, coaching, teaching, whatever it might be, and just speak to other people, just seeing what they're doing.
Definitely.
And so on. And I think, you know, for me, like I said, the reason why I said at the start, you never stop learning, is that the profession that we're in, or that the students want to go into, that I think you need to have the open-minded approach. That's massive. Just be open-minded and be humble and just want to learn. If you want to learn, you'll go far. And that's the biggest thing for me. So yeah, lockdown has been great in that respect.
I was going to say, obviously you do seem like a really positive person. It's always going to take the positives, I think, especially from the kind of situation we're in at the minute. But I think that's definitely something everyone's kind of learned, having that actually you can connect with so many different people all over the world, and like you say, learn from them as well. I guess you probably wouldn't be in contact with the PE teacher in Bradford if it wasn't for lockdown. So and maybe not even be on any of those workshops and kind of developing as you have been. So it is good to kind of take the positives from it. But I know that is a really important focus even when we come out of lockdown, like you say, is to kind of continue in keeping up your skills and sort of your knowledge in the industry. And I know you mentioned at the start, sometimes when you're in college and you think, oh, you know, you maybe aren't quite feeling the opportunity that's like given to you. I guess it's quite important to sort of take those up. And I know you mentioned that earlier on as well, that you had a few times when you thought, oh, that placement doesn't really sound for me, but it's
No, do you know what? On that note, right, I'm going to be realistic. I know when you're in college at that age, there's a lot of distractions. You probably, sometimes you give like 50% in a lesson, you just go in, you know, doze off a bit, you're walking with your bottle of Lucozade, you want to just chill out. I know what it's like when you're that age, but yet again, it's what you do when you're in there that's going to put you in bigger stead when you're older. And I didn't realize until now. So I have, you know, the old students will probably have teachers who are on their back constant, and because they can see the bigger thing, I had Chris Wall back on my brains 24/7, like, Joe, come on, you do this, do that. And I was like, leave me alone, please. But actually, he was right, you know, which I'm grateful for now because I'm where I am today, you know. And I think the biggest thing is the students to understand is that the teachers that they have around them care about them. That's probably why they're probably going to push them and want better. And they'll see the potential that they might not see. So, and then from the student side of things is go and ask for opportunities. If you don't ask, you don't get. That's just simple as. So if you want to get into the role that I'm in, or you want to, whatever you want to do in life, just go and ask and try and work towards that. because when you get there, it's rewarding, but it's hard work that's going to get you there. So if you're going to, sit on your backside, go into the lesson, give 20%, just scrape a pass, well, that's fine. You've scraped a pass, but how is that going to be in good stead for when you graduate? If you put a work in early and graft really, really hard and come out with 80s, 90%, when you go on to do your full degree and then so on, you're already in the mind, it's easy. So I struggled at uni because in college, in BTech, I wasn't given 100%. So then when I went to uni, I wasn't given 100%. Then you hit the final year, then it's like, oh, holy moly, like, whoa, I need to put into gear. And then like, I had to fight with myself to get myself into 100%, which I managed to get through. But then even now, I could have got a higher grade if I did it 3-4 years ago. It would have been a lot more easier as time goes on. So yeah, I understand how the students might feel when they're in classes. I understand the college lifestyle. I don't understand the distractions out of it. I understand, and I've been there myself when, you've got an assignment in the next day, you're up till 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, just typing up and trying to cross-reference and so on. But my advice, it's not worth it. Just listen to what teachers say, be as organized and just get your work done.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the job I'm in. You have to be organized. Being a teacher that I do, it's not like people think you get loads of school holidays and 9 to 5, 9 to 3, you're off home, see you later, no marking. No, I'm in from 7, don't finish till 6 every day, sometimes 10 o'clock at night if I've got competitions. And then people think the weekend is nice and chill. No, it's not. You've got assessment, you've got planning to do, so yeah. But yeah, again, when you work with kids, or some might go on and work in higher education, if you work with kids or young adults or whatever, the feeling you get is crazy. And hopefully your students will go and do that and they'll understand. Yeah, that's definitely what I'll say.
Oh, brilliant. And with that then, I was going to ask, so what does a typical day look like for you then? What's a typical day like as a PE teacher at Biker? I know it probably changes from school to school. What's it like for you?
Right. So for me, it will be normal day. Obviously, like now, we're going to go back to normality luckily soon. So as of 2 weeks or next week. So I'll break it down as a normal day would be, right, you've got breakfast club, 8 o'clock to 8:45. Then I would have my first lesson from 9:15 till 10:15. Early years tend to be in the morning. Then you have another lesson from 10:15 to 11:15. So that's already 3 sessions, lessons straight away. Without a break, just to clarify, without a break, right? And then I have my lunch from 11:15 till 12. Sometimes within your lunch, you've got stuff to do. So like letters for competition, chasing up kids to make sure they're going in competitions, and parent consent here. Have we got transport? Have we got this? And then from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, it's lunchtime to eat. So then I oversee all the lunchtime activity, like the sporting side. So like I've got my referees running football for year 3 or 4, 1 year 2. They've got yellow, red cards. Then you've got skipping ropes and zones, and I've got music, dancing. People might have seen I like dancing. Yep, that hasn't changed. And then depending on what we have on in the afternoon from 1 to 3 is lesson back to back. So I tend to put year group back to back. So it could be year 4 class from 1 till 2, or year 4 class from 2 till 3. Or sometimes I have competitions where we'll leave school at 1:15, drive the minibus, go and play football competition or multi-sport athletics, and then come back. And then after school club, I either run it or oversee it from 3 till 4 or 3 till 6. So I work with external people like Foundation. They've got projects. So in my role, I also provide opportunities extracurricular through external people. So we've got dance, we've got Foundation doing other things, we've got Hat Trick. So then it's also I need to coordinate those and make sure the quality is right for the kids. And that's let's say 4 o'clock done, and then you've 4 till 6 is your planning preparation for the next day, and then you're back in,
starting again.
back in. So when I leave, I've got like my watch and my steps. So sometimes when I leave, it's like it says 100% and it's high intensity, or like 150%. So yeah, those that think the job is easy.
It's quite an active day. I guess you've sort of pointed out some good points there though as well, that I think a lot of people probably think PE teacher, you come in the start of the day, you teach PE through the day and you go home, and I know when I studied sport at uni, and people used to say to me, "Oh, you don't get the marking that you get with other lessons. You don't have to take work home and whatever."
Yeah.
But actually, like you say, you're organising competitions, how you're getting students there, all their forms, and actually, because you're in primary school, making sure the kids are ready to go and actually on the bus and they've got all their kit.
Yes, and make sure they haven't forgotten their water bottle at home. And yes, but I think, like for me, I teach a whole school, so you've got playgroup to year 6, so it's massive. Yeah, again, I give hats off to teachers in classroom, because me in college days I couldn't concentrate in the classroom, hence why I do what I do. But I teach whole school, so I oversee the whole school curriculum, PE curriculum, develop it, assess it, all the paperwork that comes with it, residentials, yeah, name it. So yeah, people might think, yes, I've got a tracksuit on, a rock PE teacher, yes, I'm sorted, I go home. No, no, that's where they get it wrong. But I'll go back to my point I made when I was in college, and if I worked hard, luckily I put in the work when I used to go into schools for the college, and so I used to love the sports coach unit. So I used to absolutely love it. And I had a really good teacher at the time as well, Mark Stuttle, who now works for England basketball.
Okay.
I think he's a men's coach, and he was unbelievable. So the passion he had for it came onto me. So then, and I also do a lot of football coaching outside of work, which is a big thing for the students as well, is developing themselves away from their careers. So I see football coaching and teaching similar. So the skill sets. So I do a lot of coaching and so on, and I get mentored until now still within that, and then I bring it into my teaching. So yeah, again, for the students, I think you probably have people that try and mentor you, and take it as a good thing. Honestly, take it as a good thing, because those that mentor you are potentially the ones that can help you with references. That help me. So references and so on. And as a student, you don't really think about that until you apply for a job in, I don't know, I'm going to say McDonald's, or you apply for, obviously ambition is better than McDonald's clearly, but you might apply for a job in foundation or where I work, or a school, but then you have to go back to your college teacher and ask for a reference. And I think that's where it comes down to, have you got a relationship? Did you leave that positive, mark when you were there? And what are they going to write about you? And potentially they might be able to pick up the phone, ring for you, and for you to get a job, which I've done a few times to help done references for old students from time at. I've had a few on placements over the years through Andrew Peacock. And they went on to get into sports, and I've done references, which I don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like you said, it's obviously you need them for your references, so you need to have a good relationship with them, but just surround yourself by kind of positive people and people who have, aspirations, and it does rub off on you, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You kind of want to be kind of as successful as them, definitely. But that's really good to hear. It sounds like you enjoyed your time at the college, and obviously you've got a lot out of it considering where you are today.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. I said it not so long ago. I think my time at the college, when I look back, was probably the best time, or where I enjoy my playing sports the most, because I don't really play anymore. I just coach.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest advice that I've got, I don't know, it's weird looking back now, but I would say just make the most of opportunities. So if I was in college now, I probably would have been more focused. I would have worked hard on my grades. Like a prime example, for example, was when I was in school, I didn't really care about GCSEs because I thought I was going to play for Newcastle, play Premier League. Clearly didn't happen. So then years later, I had to go back and do it, and it was hard. It took me 3 years to pass maths.
Yeah.
But and that might be the difference between potentially getting on a course, teaching course maybe, because you need the grades to get on it. And if you don't put in the work early, and you're going to apply for these courses, and they say, right, you need I'm going to say grade 4 or whatever, a pass in 2-1 or 2-2, whatever, and you haven't got it, well, you're not going to get it. Well, actually, you can't go back to fix it because it's already set.
Yeah, so, and all the work sort of falls on you later down the line, doesn't it? And that's actually what I was going to say. Do you have any tips? I know we have a lot of students who come to us who, are playing sport at a really high standard, and like yourself, probably hope to go on to be, footballers, rugby players, that sort of thing. Do you have any tips for them at all in terms of you know, like you say, kind of sticking in, maybe he's having a bit of
Yeah.
a kind of plan B?
Yeah, so actually, you know what, plan B, plan B, you're right, have a plan B. So my plan B was going into coaching. Now, their plan B might be different, might be physiotherapy, might be science side of it. Whatever the plan B is, work on it. But my biggest thing is don't lose sight of your ambition and dreams. So if they want to play football, it's achievable. I think the only way you're going to get, so luckily enough now I work with a few Newcastle under 23 players who are coach outside of work, and so on, who are trying to help. And it's all down to how you are as a person, how you are as a person, how you apply yourself to your dream and your craft. So if they want to, for example, in the college, you train what 3 times, I don't know if it's the same, 3 times a week. You play Nisa once or twice a week, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, or same for the basketball. So that's, if you look at it in that context, that's a lot of training there, a lot of training that you can use to your best. And then at the college, you had a gym. Is it still there, right? The gym.
Yeah.
Flex, is it still called Flex? Some power
Yeah,
Flex
Flex
Fitness.
Fitness.
Yes. So you've got a gym there which you can use. Which, yet again, I think the biggest thing is if they want to go on and play football, or whatever, at a high level, they will have to do stuff outside of the NISA in their own time to get better at. So they're gonna have to put in work themselves. But that also will help them with when they go into jobs, because if they're prepared to go, a bigger thing is to be prepared to go extra mile and go beyond, above and beyond what you're meant to be doing, because that's how you're going to get recognized and that's how you're going to go far. So if they're in the college, like they say, in the playing, I'm going to give an example. Let's say for me, when I was playing college, sometimes I'll be second team, which you want to be the first, and then sometimes you're going to second, start whinging, moaning, oh god, the coach doesn't like me, start bad mouthing and all sorts. No, that's not the coach's fault. That's my own fault. And I think as they go through their journey in the college, they probably are bound to have a setback. It's going to happen, whether that is through the playing outside of college or playing in college. A setback is bound to happen somehow, whether you don't get picked for a team or whatever. It's just about working harder to try and get yourself in there and try and get yourself in a better position. So, and yet again, as teachers and coaches, if you've got students that work hard, you're more likely to reward them with opportunities. That's as simple as it. So if I've got someone who's willing to work really, really hard in the class and might not be the best, I'm going to give that person a chance.
Yeah.
And yeah, so my biggest one that sticks out for me is be open-minded. So whoever you're around, always learn and be humble. Be polite, respectful. Second bit is always go above and beyond. So work harder and work extra hard. Not just I've got this thing. I'm not content where I am. So even though I'm in my role full time, people can say, you're sorted. You don't have to. No, I'm not content. I want to get better and better and better. Why? Because I believe that the more you know, the more you can pass on. So you never stop learning. And then also, I think the biggest thing for me when they're in the college or outside is surround yourself with people that are going to help you. That I think that's key. So there's lots of distractions around at the moment. 10 years ago, you didn't have your whole Twitter and Insta. It was probably MSN back in the days or whatever it was. And so on. And these days, you've got all sorts going on that can just distract you from your college work. And sometimes you don't want to come in, or sometimes you ring. I've been there myself. When you wake up one day, you just don't want to go. You just make excuses. You don't go in, or you go and do the wrong thing. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Opportunities don't come often. And in terms of education, you pretty much have just one crack at it, really. Your degree, like, let's break it down. You probably pay for your degree. Why not make the most of it? Like, come on, like, just don't mess around with it. Like, I didn't really get my heart and soul into it. That's one thing I regret. And then another thing is you don't want to live your life with regrets.
Yeah.
And when you're older, you don't want to have any regrets and think like, I wish I done that. That's the worst feeling. So while they can, just honestly, hand on heart, just do the best you can, work your socks off, and then in years to come, you'll be fine. If they need help in placements, whatever, they can drop me an email through Andrew Peacock. I'm happy to give them placements. I've got no issues with that. But there's only one deal though. They need to be willing to work hard. They get everything from me. If they're willing to go extra mile and show the right attitude and personal skills, then I will help them. I will put them to other schools within the area. Because yet again, in the setting that I work with, network and people talk. So,
Definitely.
I can maybe ring a school and walk a gate and say, by the way, I've got students for time at college. I've got Ben or whoever, Lucy here, who's really good. Can you put them on a placement for 6 weeks? Sort of, that's one placement. Sort of, that's your reference. Sort of, yes, to come in, and if job comes in, you can get him. So yeah,
That's
yeah,
brilliant. That's
definitely.
amazing offer that I think students couldn't refuse. So hopefully everyone will follow your advice, and it'll be rewarded to them, hopefully with a placement. In terms of,
Yeah.
I know you mentioned you do a lot on social media. I don't know if you want
Yeah.
to maybe mention any of the channels that you sort of work on, and if students want to have a look at the kind of things you're doing. Again, might get a bit of inspiration from yourself. I don't know if you want to mention kind of your Twitter or your YouTube
Right.
channel.
Okay. So first lockdown, I set up a YouTube channel for the school. It's called Biker Primary PE, so they can go on and have a look at it. Yet again, I'm going to be honest and open about this. The content on it is not something that is all from me. I've taken inspiration from other PE teachers, or this is PA Youth Sport Trust. Other campaigns. I use Twitter, so like my Twitter is at J_Dankwa. And if you go on it, like you'll see I follow a lot of PE, FPA, and PE national government bodies who and other PE teachers who are retweeting, sharing. And what I do is like I'll have a look, and whatever they do, I'm like, I like that, right? I'm going to save it in my bookmarks. So I'll save it, and then I'll use it for my planning. So I'll be like, I like that one, right? Okay, let me use that. And I think social media at the moment, yet again, I'm going to fast forward 10 years where we are now, is there's so much you can do with it. You can make networks, you can find resources on there, you can ask questions, you can interact with people. So students, I know your social media, I know everyone's good at the moment. My advice is just use it to develop yourself. Keep your private, no problem with that. I've got no issues with your TikToks and whatever you want to do, that's fine. But in terms of professional development, you've got Twitter, which is great. You've got LinkedIn, which is great. And there's loads of platforms at the moment where you can go on and find stuff around teaching, education, PE or non-PE based, and just use it to the best of your ability.
Absolutely.
Don't use it in a negative way, but positive way, definitely. Do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's some excellent advice, and we can pop your links on there as well for anyone who wants to kind of have a look at the work you're doing. We're also lucky enough to have Joe hopefully join us for a workshop this afternoon as well. So 4 p.m. if you want to just sort of join in and see Joe in action, please do. And I'm sure there might be opportunities to ask any questions and things then. So yeah, 4:30 tune in for the workshop with Joe. But thank you so much for joining. I know I've certainly found that really interesting. I kind of came from a bit of a background in sport as well, so I absolutely loved sort of hearing your journey. And I'm sure it's been really useful for all the students as well. You've had some excellent tips in there. So thank you very much for that, Joe, and thank you very much for everyone who's joined. Hopefully we'll see you all at 4 p.m. Thank you.
My pleasure.